I hate horror. Games and movies. And I'll admit it. It's because I'm a coward who's afraid of jump scares. So instead, I went in blind. No expectations, no hope. Gamer difficulty. And what did I find? Well, something I certainly didn't expect. It's been 30 seconds, right? Okay, cool. Holy shit. This is something else. The victim isn't a victim. It's Pandora's box. We open the door to a dark presence that corrupts, so now it's our job to close it. Throughout my playtime in Alan Wake, I noticed connections, callbacks, remarks and recollection constantly. Almost everything has a place, a purpose, and a reason to be there. Alan Wake 2's greatest strength is its writing, music, and atmosphere.
Please. Can you hear me?
Once the victim becomes a monster, we realize the true nature of what we face. There will be a price to pay for our salvation. Save the rider, save the daughter, save ourselves. First and foremost, Alan Wake 2 has the best soundtrack of 2023. The last time we've gotten an entire album of songs created for a game and had it fit perfectly was Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Having a soundtrack of this nature has become such a rare feat, it is honestly such a shame. Lyrics can transform music into a story, giving it deep emotional connection. It's like comparing the fields of Aard to I Really Want to Stay at Your House, or Moon Halo. An obscure reference, but an important distinction. To give you the full picture, I'll list 3 of the worst things about this game, because these alone really took away from my overall experience. When I chose to play on hard, I had no idea this would be the best way to play this game. And it's not even close. The difference is simple, but incredibly impactful. On story, it's 3 shots. On normal, 13. And on hard, it's 13, but 2 of his buddies will also show up. In a way, this balancing is really good, making encounters more varied without making them a damage sponge. The problem is on the hardest difficulty, it's not at all hard. Let me explain. On story, you feel like a monster, not a victim, the role we are meant to be playing in survival horror. While on hard, you're constantly cycling through weapons, using flares, fire extinguishers, anything and everything in your entire arsenal that you scavenged for. Gameplay like this is what made Doom Eternal so good. Remedy Entertainment really shot themselves in the foot by making everything except hard essentially a cakewalk. And even then, hard isn't really a challenge either. I only died a few times outside of scripted encounters. My first death was the result of not understanding to just shoot the guy non-stop. You see, they give you a flashlight and a gun. I thought I had to stun him because, in literally every single fight in the entire game, no exceptions, including his boss fight, you use the flashlight to slow a stun and also reveal weak points. This first encounter is an F in game design. Teach fundamentals first. My second death was a bug, where the correct path wouldn't load, leading to a very confusing runaway sequence with no direction and a dead end every time. If the hardest challenge you can offer to a casual player with zero interest in horror is a backwards tutorial and a bug, then hard should be the new normal. As to the few times I did die outside of a sequence, well, one of them was due to a floating orb of imminent death. I consider this a failure too, because it's also extremely obvious the devs knew this did too much damage, making the upgrade for this specifically to reduce its damage feel like complete padding. Anyway, on top of the difficulty, an emerging trend within the survival horror genre is to allocate loot through a system. It really brings you out of the game, knowing if you're low on supplies, the next room will conveniently have the perfect amount to keep going. On the opposite end, having a bunch of supplies will result in opening drawers, cupboards and whatnot to find nothing. This system is essentially the skill-based matchmaking of survival horror games, but unlike Activision, it's implemented in a way to give a good player experience. Unfortunately, just knowing there is a system in place ruined that experience, making it feel more formulaic than just having set locations for loot. Not a single time in my entire run, on hard, did I run out of ammo until I put almost everything in the shoebox, the safe zone storage system, leading to this interesting scenario. Once again, hardest difficulty. The last gripe I have is with quick saving or manually saving. In very specific zones, it respawned enemies every time I did it. As a result, I ended up learning to just completely ignore or run away from enemies instead of fighting them, especially if I had nothing to do within the area except pass through it. For all this game's virtues, it commits a few cardinal sins of the genre, and I hope Remedy can learn from this in the future. Simply put, it is far too easy, and there is never attention with supplies, reducing the survival and horror aspects to cheap jump scares and audio design.
I can feel something.
That said, those are the biggest flaws of this game, which isn't much at all, and that gap in ammo conservation is an outcome of player agency I highly doubt they expected someone to do, as in shoebox cheats. I'm no stranger to shooters, but someone unfamiliar or on console might find this quite the challenge, in which case these systems did their job. Alan Wake 2 is great. I doubt it'll win Game of the Year, but it absolutely deserves to win the best original soundtrack of 2023. In a stacked year of amazing and downright horrible games, Alan Wake 2 earned that nomination. Fear and laughter are two sides of the same coin. In attempting to be wholeheartedly serious, the more silly moments stand out, hence why a balance is often strived towards. Subsequently, maintaining a serious and scary thematic tone will only serve to desensitize whoever is engaging in the material, be it games, movies, shows, or even books. This is why you see polar opposites within the genre, and Alan Wake 2 nails that balance with creative writing. If you're on PC, the only way to play this game is through the Epic Games launcher. The problem, for Alan Wake specifically, is that there is no way to toggle the achievement overlay, which in turn will rip you away from any sort of tension anytime they pop up. As this game is made by Remedy Entertainment, albeit on their in-house engine, Northlight, the financial backing from Epic Games allowed this project to exist, and so it's only on their launcher for now. This isn't a problem with the game itself, but with the launcher, and there are ways around it. Remedy are the creators of Max Payne 1 and 2, Quantum Break, Death Rally, and by far the most interesting, Control. Needless to say, all of Remedy's games have a certain uniqueness to them. While this is a sequel to Alan Wake, you don't at all need to play any of Remedy's games prior to it to enjoy it. By simply paying attention through a playthrough, all the events of Alan Wake are told and shown throughout the game and world, including other organizations like the Federal Bureau of Control from the game Control, and they'll go about their own investigation. Remedy themselves has their own unique style. This is through music, direction, environmental storytelling, and blurring the lines between fiction and reality. The environment, specifically in Alan's world, tells a story on its own, reflecting far more than his state of mind. As to the music, A standout moment in Control was the ashtray maze. In Alan Wake 2, well, see for yourselves. Let's talk about the upgrade system I touched on earlier. It's a scavenger hunt, and there simply isn't enough to upgrade each weapon completely, but there are clear good choices to be made. They're both impactful and you don't need everything. This system incentivizes exploring the open world, and their locations are hinted at within the environment itself, with a story and reason behind these manuscript pages. Alan's upgrades are far more varied, with clear winners and losers. However, they are much easier to get. For each general problem and criticism I have, there are 5 or more good things I could say and point out. Charms give interesting effects, all unlocked through nursery rhyme puzzles, and they make you think and figure out each situation. These charms are exclusive to Saga, with deep significance to her as a character, her story, history, and family. Same goes with the cult stashes or certain weapons. They're all well-contained puzzles within certain areas. Only a single puzzle will make you visit very specific spots on different maps, and it's to meet the mayor. And as to those cheap jump scares, it's established extremely early. When they pop up, you aren't in immediate danger. In fact, they are remnants of whatever boss you will or are about to face. Throughout this journey, my favourite moment, by far, wasn't either music sequences or certain twists, which, come on.
It's not a loop. It's a spiral.
A spiral? It's clearly a spring, like inside of a pen. And guess who stopped writing and clicked it? Oh right, a bit off topic. Anyway, my favourite moment was one I created for myself, by simply adding my own music to the Mulligan and Thornton boss fight. So, before I get to the final pros and cons, I have to talk about difficulty one last time. This is a scripted encounter. On easy,
More people turning into Taken.
and on hard. Hard turns a 1-second encounter to an actual battle. But even then, I kid you not, hard is easier than Resident Evil 4 on easy. Nevertheless, thanks to this game, I realized that I don't, in fact, hate horror. I hate cheap jump scares. The scariest moment in gaming I've ever had wasn't a jump scare. No, because I don't make good horror whatsoever. It was this. Jump scares are a cheap trope, genuinely ruining the entire genre. One that Alan Wake 2 overuses to the extreme. So this is my final score for Alan Wake 2, with pros and cons. Bugs, glitches, balance, reused locations, backwards tutorial, lack of challenge, overused jump scares, and required backtracking all brought this game down. However, good story, interesting characters, creative writing, unique mechanics, captivating mystery, amazing visuals, encouraged arsenal usage, and some of the best puzzles I've ever seen in a game. Hard enough to get me to think, but not hard enough to have to look up the answers. All on top of amazing music you've been hearing throughout this entire review. Alan Wake 2 is an 8 out of 10, and I'll be honest, I was worried about getting hate for this score, but I hope you all understand my reasoning, because I believe this could reach a 9 or a higher, just not in its current state. So thanks for watching. A like and a sub is greatly appreciated. We're almost at 1k subs. I do reviews, critique, and other stuff that bites me in the ass after 3 episodes, as well as other nonsense. I like this game, so it's disappointing to see how the sales turned out, even if it makes sense that a niche title within a niche genre sold on a niche platform hurt its potential. The background footage was originally going to be its own little segment, but it didn't come together in a way that felt right. Anyway, bunch of videos in the works, from Chivalry 2, Call of Duty, and of course Genshin. That of which I'm pretty sure Hoyoverse themselves wants me to make. Entirely speculation based on this 10 pull alone. Might also throw in a few surprises here and there too. Anyway, catch you later.